What would you do if the woman you were falling in love with turned out to be one of the most powerful CEOs in the country? And what if she'd been hiding that truth from you because, for the first time in her life, someone loved her for who she truly was, not what she owned? This is the story of Alexandra Chen and Daniel Morrison, a tale of love, sacrifice, and the courage it takes to be vulnerable. If stories about real love, second chances, and finding family in unexpected places move you, you're going to want to stay until the very end. And hey, if you're new here, hit that like button and subscribe, because we bring you the most heartfelt stories every single week. Now, let's dive in. Alexandra Chen stood on the balcony of her penthouse apartment, overlooking the glittering skyline of Seattle. At 34, she was the CEO of Chen Innovations, a tech empire worth over $8 billion that she'd built from the ground up after her father's company collapsed in scandal. She had everything the world said she should want: power, wealth, influence, and respect. Yet as she stared at her reflection in the glass, champagne in hand, after closing yet another massive deal, she felt nothing but emptiness. Her phone buzzed with congratulatory messages from board members and investors, but there was no one to truly celebrate with. No one who cared about Alex the person, only Alexandra Chen the CEO. She'd sacrificed relationships, friendships, and any semblance of a normal life to build her empire. And now, standing alone in her marble palace in the sky, she wondered if it had all been worth it. The next morning, Alexandra made a decision that would change everything. She needed a break. Not a luxury vacation or a spa retreat, but a real break from being Alexandra Chen. Her therapist had been telling her for months that she needed to reconnect with normal life, to remember who she was before the billions and the boardrooms. So she did something completely out of character. She took a leave of absence, told only her most trusted assistant about her plan, and moved into a modest rental apartment in Everwood, a small town 2 hours from Seattle. She introduced herself as Alex Miller, a freelance graphic designer working remotely. She wore jeans and simple sweaters instead of designer suits. She shopped at the local grocery store, grabbed coffee at the corner cafe, and for the first time in over a decade, she felt like she could breathe. That's where she met Daniel Morrison. It was a rainy Tuesday afternoon, at Everwood Elementary School. Alexandra had volunteered to help with the school's fundraiser. Something she never would have had time for in her real life. She was setting up tables in the gymnasium when she heard a commotion near the entrance. "I'm sorry, Mr. Morrison, but Emma's been crying in the bathroom for 20 minutes. She won't tell us what's wrong, and she's asking for you." Alexandra looked up to see a man rushing through the doors, his hair damp from the rain, wearing worn jeans and a flannel shirt with paint stains on the sleeves. His face was etched with concern as he followed the teacher down the hallway. Something about the raw worry in his eyes struck her. She didn't mean to follow, but she found herself walking in that direction. She heard his voice, gentle and patient, coming from outside the girls' bathroom. "Emmy, sweetheart, it's Dad. Can you tell me what happened?" A small sobbing voice replied. "Kayla said. She said I don't have a mom because my mom didn't love me enough to stay. She said that's why she died." Alexandra's heart clenched. She watched as the man, Daniel, she'd heard him called, closed his eyes and took a deep breath, clearly trying to compose himself. "Oh baby, that's not true, not even a little bit. Your mom loved you more than anything in the whole world. She didn't choose to leave us. Sometimes people get sick, and no matter how much love there is, their bodies can't fight anymore. But her love for you? That's still here. It's in your beautiful smile, your kind heart, and every time I look at you, I see her love shining through." The door opened slowly, and a little girl with dark curls and tear-stained cheeks emerged. She couldn't have been more than 7 years old. Daniel immediately knelt down and pulled her into his arms, and she sobbed into his shoulder while he rubbed her back and whispered comforting words. Alexandra felt tears prick her own eyes. She quietly walked away, but the image of that father's unconditional love stayed with her for the rest of the day. She saw Daniel again 3 days later at the Everwood Community Center, where she'd signed up for a pottery class. Another thing the old Alexandra would never have done. He was teaching a children's art class in the next room. And she could hear him encouraging the kids with genuine enthusiasm and patience. During the break, they ended up at the water fountain at the same time. "After you," he said with a warm smile that reached his eyes. Eyes that were a striking hazel with flecks of gold. "Thank you," Alexandra replied. Up close, she noticed the fine lines around his eyes, probably from smiling, and the calluses on his hands. "You're the art teacher, right?" "Guilty as charged." "Daniel Morrison." He extended his hand. "Though I'm not officially a teacher, I'm a carpenter by trade, but I volunteer here on weekends. Art therapy helped my daughter through a tough time, so I figured I'd pay it forward." "Alex Miller," she said, shaking his hand. His grip was firm but gentle. "That's really kind of you. What brings you to Everwood, Alex? I haven't seen you around before, and in a town this size, new faces stand out." "I needed a change of pace," she said, which was the truth. "I've been working too hard for too long. Thought I'd try living somewhere quieter for a while." They talked for another 10 minutes, and Alexandra found herself genuinely enjoying the conversation. Daniel was intelligent, thoughtful, and had a self-deprecating sense of humor that made her laugh. Really laugh, for the first time in months. He didn't ask about her career or her connections or what she could do for him. He asked about her favorite books, whether she preferred mountains or ocean, and if she'd tried the apple pie at Rosie's Diner yet. When they parted ways, Alexandra felt something she hadn't felt in years. Butterflies. Over the following weeks, Alexandra and Daniel kept running into each other. At the farmer's market where he sold handmade wooden furniture and she bought fresh vegetables. At the local library, where they both reached for the same mystery novel. At the park where she'd started jogging in the mornings and he ran with his daughter, Emma. Each encounter was easy and natural. Daniel would share stories about Emma's latest obsession with dinosaurs, or a funny carpentry mishap. Alexandra found herself opening up too, sharing carefully edited stories from her past, talking about her estrangement from her ambitious family, her loneliness at the top of her career, though she described it as isolation in the competitive freelance world. Daniel never pushed. He listened with genuine interest, and slowly, Alexandra felt the walls she'd built around her heart beginning to crumble. One Saturday, Daniel approached her at the farmer's market with an invitation. "Emma and I are going to the pumpkin patch tomorrow. She's been asking about the nice lady with the pretty smile." Her words, not mine, though I agree, "and wondered if you'd like to come with us." "No pressure, I know it's last minute." Alexandra's first instinct was to decline. Getting involved with a single father and his daughter was complicated. But when she looked into Daniel's hopeful eyes, she found herself saying yes. The pumpkin patch day was magical. Emma was a whirlwind of energy and joy, dragging Alexandra through the corn maze, insisting she needed help picking the perfect pumpkin, and chattering endlessly about everything from her favorite dinosaur to why, she thought, clouds were probably made of marshmallows. Watching Daniel with his daughter made Alexandra's heart ache in the best way. He was patient when Emma changed her mind about pumpkins 6 times. He carried her on his shoulders when she got tired, he wiped her face gently when she got caramel apple all over it, and he looked at her like she was his entire world. "You're a really good dad," Alexandra told him when Emma ran ahead to pet the goats. Daniel's expression turned soft and a little sad. "I try. It's been just the two of us for 3 years now, since my wife Sarah passed. Cancer. Emma was only 4. He took a breath. "Some days I feel like I'm failing her, like I can't be enough on my own." "You're wrong," Alexandra said firmly. "That little girl adores you. I can see it in every look she gives you. You're more than enough." "Thank you," he said quietly. "That means more than you know." Their eyes held for a moment, and Alexandra felt a connection so strong it almost scared her. As the weeks turned into months, Alexandra and Daniel grew closer. They went on actual dates. Nothing fancy, just dinner at Rosie's Diner, walks along the river trail, movie nights at his cozy house with Emma asleep upstairs. Alexandra met his friends, became a regular at Emma's school events, and slowly became woven into the fabric of their little family. She taught Emma how to braid her hair. She helped Daniel with his business accounting, using her hidden expertise to streamline his operations without revealing her true background. She laughed more, smiled more, and felt more like herself than she had in 15 years. And she fell in love. It was terrifying and exhilarating and completely unexpected. Daniel was nothing like the ambitious executives and entrepreneurs in her usual world. He measured success by Emma's happiness and his ability to create beautiful things with his hands. He didn't care about stock prices or market domination. He cared about community, integrity, and being a good person, and he loved her, or at least, he loved the version of her he knew. That was the problem. 4 months into their relationship, as they sat on his porch swing one evening, after putting Emma to bed, Daniel told her he was falling in love with her. "You've brought light back into our lives, Alex. Emma adores you, and I." He took her hand. "I never thought I'd feel this way again after Sarah, but you've shown me that hearts can heal and expand. I love you." Alexandra felt joy and terror collide in her chest. "I love you too," she whispered, and it was the absolute truth, but that night, alone in her rental apartment, she cried. Because she'd built this beautiful relationship on a foundation of lies. Daniel didn't know she was a billionaire CEO, he didn't know that her freelance graphic design work was actually managing a global empire remotely with her assistant's help. He didn't know she owned a penthouse worth more than all the houses in Everwood combined. She'd told herself she would reveal the truth eventually, but as time went on, it became harder. How could she explain why she'd lied? Would he think she'd been playing with him? Would he feel betrayed? Would he worry about Emma being thrust into a world of wealth and media scrutiny? Worse. Would he look at her differently? Would she see the same calculating expression she saw on everyone else's faces when they learned who she was? The decision was taken out of her hands 2 weeks later. Alexandra was at Daniel's house, helping Emma with a school project. When his phone rang, it was his bank. His business account had been frozen due to suspicious activity. Someone had hacked his account and stolen nearly $30,000. It was everything he had. She watched the color drain from his face as he got the news. When he hung up, he sat down heavily, putting his head in his hands. "That was my entire savings," he said, his voice hollow. "I was going to use it to expand the workshop, maybe hire an apprentice, and I have Emma's medical bills from her surgery last year still to pay off." He looked up at Alexandra with devastated eyes. "I don't know what I'm going to do." Every instinct in Alexandra's body screamed at her to fix this. She could have that money back in his account with one phone call. She could have her security team track down the hackers within hours. She could solve this entire problem before lunch. But doing so would reveal everything. She made her choice. That night, she called her assistant. "I need you to trace a cyber theft and recover the funds, route the money back through proper channels, so it looks like the bank's fraud department recovered it." She gave the account details, "and get our legal team to ensure he's not liable for any of it." "Consider it done, Ms. Chen. But if I may say so, you're getting quite involved with this civilian life. The board is getting anxious about your return. Tell them I need 1 more month." Alexandra said, though she had no idea if a month would be enough time to figure out how to tell Daniel the truth. The money was returned to Daniel's account within 48 hours. The bank called it a miracle of quick fraud detection. Daniel was overjoyed and relieved, and Alexandra felt like a fraud as he thanked the universe for the good fortune. She knew she had to tell him soon. But then Emma got sick. What started as a common cold turned into pneumonia. Emma ended up hospitalized, and Daniel was beside himself with worry and guilt. Alexandra stayed by their side, bringing Daniel coffee and food he barely touched, reading to Emma when she was awake, and holding Daniel's hand through the long, scary nights. "I can't lose her," Daniel whispered one night in the hospital corridor. "She's everything, Alex. I already lost Sarah. I can't survive losing Emma too." "You won't," Alexandra said firmly, wrapping her arms around him. "She's strong, and she's getting the best care. She's going to be fine." And she was. After 5 days, Emma was released with antibiotics and strict rest orders, but the hospital bills were staggering. Daniel's insurance covered most of it, but his deductible was $15,000. Money he no longer had after the theft and recovery had left him gun-shy about his savings. Alexandra watched him reviewing the bills at his kitchen table, the stress aging him before her eyes. She couldn't stand it anymore. The next day, she told her assistant to create an anonymous grant. Set it up through the hospital's charity program, make it a fund for single parents facing medical hardship. Make sure Daniel Morrison qualifies and receives enough to cover his bills. Chen, you're playing a dangerous game. I know, just do it. The grant came through a week later. Again, Daniel was overwhelmed with relief and gratitude, and again, Alexandra felt the weight of her deception growing heavier. She was preparing to finally tell him everything, when her world came crashing down. An investigative journalist had been tracking her, trying to find out where the elusive CEO had disappeared to. He found her in Everwood and published an article with photos. Billionaire CEO Alexandra Chen's secret small-town hideaway. Playing house with an unsuspecting local. The article was cruel and speculative, suggesting she was slumming it for entertainment, that Daniel was a naive plaything, that she'd been manipulating a grieving widower and his daughter for some thrill. Daniel saw it when his friend sent him the link with a shocked message. Alexandra was at the grocery store when her phone started buzzing with missed calls from Daniel. Then a text, "We need to talk now." Her hands shook as she drove to his house. She knew, he knew, Daniel was waiting on the porch, his expression unreadable. Emma was at a friend's house, he told her curtly. Good, this conversation wasn't for children's ears. Is it true? He asked, his voice tight with controlled emotion. Are you Alexandra Chen, the billionaire CEO? There was no point in lying anymore. Yes, he laughed, but there was no humor in it. Yes, just like that, yes. He ran his hand through his hair, pacing. So everything was a lie? Alex Miller, the freelance graphic designer, needing a quiet place to work? All of it? Not all of it, she said, her voice breaking. My feelings for you and Emma, those were real, are real. That's the most honest I've been in my entire life. But you lied about everything else, who you are, what you do, why you're here. God, Alex? Or should I call you Alexandra? I don't even know what name to call you. I'm still the same person. No. His voice rose, pain clear in every word. You're not. The person I fell in love with was real and genuine and struggling with her own problems. You're a billionaire who was playing make-believe. Did you think this was funny? The poor carpenter and his daughter, such quaint entertainment. That's not fair, Alexandra said, tears streaming down her face. I came here because I was drowning in that life. Everything was about money and power and what I could do for people. No one saw me, but you did. You saw me, Daniel, the real me. How could I see the real you when you were lying to my face every single day? He shook his head, and she saw tears in his eyes too. I let you into Isma's life. She loves you. Do you know what this is going to do to her? Another person she loves, gone, and I let it happen because I trusted you. Daniel, please, that money that came back from the hackers, that was you, wasn't it? And the grant for the hospital bills? Alexandra hesitated, then nodded. So not only did you lie about who you are, you manipulated our circumstances, you threw money at our problems instead of trusting me enough to tell me the truth. Do you know how that makes me feel? Like a charity case, like someone who needs to be managed and handled. I was trying to help. I couldn't just watch you suffer when I had the means. That wasn't your choice to make. Daniel's voice cracked. I'm a grown man, Alex. I've been taking care of myself and my daughter just fine. Were we rich? No, but we had dignity. We had honest struggle and honest triumph. And you took that away from me. You made me a puppet in your little escape fantasy. That's not what you were. That's not what this was. Alexandra was sobbing now. I love you. I love Emma. I've never felt more myself than I have these past months. Please, Daniel, don't let my mistakes destroy what we have. Daniel wiped his eyes, his expression hardening into something that broke her heart. What we have is built on lies. How could I ever trust you again? How could I introduce you to Emma as... What? The billionaire who thought slumming it with us was fun for a while. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Alexandra? Explain it to me. Because from where I'm standing, you're a rich woman who lied to me for months, manipulated our lives with your money, and now expects me to just accept it because you claim you love us." She had no answer that would satisfy him. She could see it in his eyes. The trust was broken, maybe beyond repair. "I think you should go," Daniel said quietly. "Back to your penthouse and your empire and your real life. We'll be fine. We always have been." "Daniel, please Alex. Just go." She left, and it felt like leaving her heart behind. The next week was the darkest of Alexandra's life. She returned to Seattle, to her penthouse, to her company. Everyone was thrilled to have her back. The board celebrated, deals moved forward, stock prices rose. She was Alexandra Chen again, powerful and in control. And she was absolutely miserable. She'd tasted real life, real love, real connection. She'd experienced what it meant to be valued for herself rather than her bank account, and she'd destroyed it with her own cowardice. Her assistant found her crying in her office one night. "Miss Chen, I've worked for you for 8 years, and I've never seen you like this. I lost the only real thing I've ever had, Margaret," Alexandra whispered, "and I deserve it. I lied to people I love because I was afraid. Afraid they'd see me differently. Afraid I'd lose what we had. And by trying to protect it, I destroyed it anyway." Margaret sat down across from her. "So what are you going to do about it?" "What can I do? He won't take my calls. He made it clear he wants nothing to do with me." "Then fight for him. You built an empire from nothing. Surely you can fight for love." Alexandra looked up. "How? How do I prove I'm sincere when everything I do, he'll think I'm trying to buy his forgiveness? Maybe you stop thinking like a CEO and start thinking like the woman who fell in love with a carpenter. What would Alex Millers do?" The answer came to her slowly, then all at once. Over the next 3 weeks, Alexandra made changes, real ones. She restructured her role at the company, promoting her COO to handle day-to-day operations while she remained chairman of the board. Present but not consumed. She set up a foundation dedicated to supporting single parents, funded generously but managed by people who understood the community's real needs, not just throwing money at problems. And she went back to Everwood. Not to Daniel's house. She knew she had no right to invade his space, but she rented a small apartment, the same one as before. She went back to volunteering at the school, at the community center. She showed up consistently, proving this wasn't a phase or a whim. People recognized her now. The article had made sure of that. Some were curious, some were hostile, some were opportunistic. But she handled each interaction with honesty. When the school principal asked if she was there to throw money around, she said, "I'm here to show up. If you'll let me, I'd like to volunteer just like before. I can't undo my mistakes, but I can try to be better going forward." When she ran into Daniel at the farmer's market, clearly not by accident, as she'd been coming every week hoping to see him, he looked at her with guarded eyes. "What are you doing here, Alexandra?" "I'm living here. I've restructured my life. I'm still chairman of my company, but I'm not the CEO anymore. I work remotely, just like I told you before, except now it's actually true." "Why?" "Because that life was killing me. I didn't know it until I came here and remembered what living actually feels like. And because I'm in love with you and Emma, and even if you never forgive me, even if we can never be together, I need to be in a place where life matters more than profit margins." Daniel was quiet for a long moment. "You hurt me, you hurt Emma. She cried for a week asking why you disappeared, and I had to try to explain that you weren't who we thought you were. I know. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Alexandra's voice was steady despite her tears. "I was wrong to lie. I was wrong to manipulate things with money. I was a coward. But my love for you both was never a lie. That was the only real thing in my life, and I destroyed it. So I'm not asking for forgiveness right now. I'm just asking for the chance to show you, over time, that I mean it. That I'm here, really here, for the right reasons us. And if I say no, if I say I can't trust you again, then I'll respect that. But I'll still be here, living my life, being part of this community. Not for show, not to manipulate you, but because this is where I choose to be." Daniel studied her face, and she let him see everything. Her pain, her regret, her hope, her love. "Emma asks about you," he finally said. "She misses you." Alexandra's heart clenched. "I miss her too, every day. I'm not ready to just pick up where we left off, Alexandra. Whoever you are, Alex," she said firmly. I'm legally changing it back to my mother's name. Alexandra Chen is the chairman of a company. Alex Miller is the person I want to be. The person I am when I'm not performing for boards and investors. That's a big change. I've made a lot of changes. I'm in therapy, real therapy, not just sessions squeezed between meetings. I'm learning to be a person again, not just a CEO. And I'm trying to figure out who I am when I'm not defined by my net worth. Daniel's expression softened slightly. That sounds healthy. It's terrifying, she admitted with a small laugh. But it's right, you helped me see that. You and Emma showed me what matters. They talked for another hour, right there in the farmer's market. It wasn't a reconciliation. Not yet. But it was a start. Over the following months, Alexandra proved herself. She showed up at Emma's school events but didn't push for interaction. She volunteered consistently at the community center. She became a genuine part of Everwood, not as the billionaire slumming it, but as a community member who contributed her time and skills. She ran into Daniel and Emma occasionally. The first time Emma saw her, the little girl's face lit up before she looked uncertainly at her father. "Can I say hi to Alex?" Emma asked. Daniel hesitated, then nodded. Emma ran over and hugged Alexandra's waist. "I missed you. Daddy said you had to go away for a while but you might come back. Did you come back?" Alexandra knelt down, tears in her eyes. "I did come back, sweetie. I missed you so much. Are you going to have dinner with us again, and help me with my dinosaur project? And can you teach me more hair braids? If your dad says it's okay, I'd love to." Emma looked back at Daniel with pleading eyes. He sighed, but there was warmth in his expression. "Maybe Alex can come to dinner next Friday," he said. "If she's free." "I'm free," Alexandra said quickly. That Friday dinner was awkward at first. They were all dancing around the elephant in the room. But then Emma started chattering about her latest obsession, butterflies now, not dinosaurs. And the conversation began to flow more naturally. After Emma went to bed, Daniel and Alexandra sat on the porch swing, a careful distance between them. "I've been thinking a lot," Daniel said, "about trust and honesty and second chances." "Me too. Sarah used to say that love without trust is just empty words, and you broke my trust, Alex. Badly. I know. But," he continued, "she also used to say that forgiveness is how we keep our hearts from turning to stone, and I've been watching you these past months. You've showed up. You've been consistent. You've been honest, even when it's uncomfortable. I'm trying to be the person you thought I was. The person I want to be." Daniel turned to look at her. "Here's the thing though, I don't want you to be who you think I want you to be yourself. All of yourself. The part that built an empire because you're brilliant and driven. The part that volunteers at schools because you care. The billionaire and the woman who cries at kids' art shows. All of it. I don't know if I know how to be all of those things at once. Then maybe we figure it out together." He reached over and took her hand. "If you're willing to be patient with me while I learn to trust again, I'll wait as long as it takes," she promised. It wasn't a fairy tale reconciliation. They took it slow. They went to couples counseling to work through the betrayal and rebuild trust. Daniel met her world gradually, visiting her company, understanding the pressure and responsibility she carried. She continued to build her life in Everwood, proving her commitment wasn't just about him. There were setbacks. Times when old insecurities flared up, when Daniel wondered if he was enough for her. When Alexandra worried that her world would eventually swallow their happiness. But they worked through each challenge with honesty and communication. 6 months after that first dinner, Daniel proposed. Not with the expensive ring, though Alexandra could have bought any ring in the world, but with a simple band he'd crafted himself from reclaimed wood and a small, ethical diamond. "It's not fancy," he said as he knelt in the same park where they'd first jogged past each other. "But I made it with my own hands, and it's real, just like my love for you. It's perfect," Alexandra said through happy tears. "And I love you, the real me, all of it." Emma was their flower girl at the small ceremony in Everwood. Alexandra wore a simple white dress, not a designer gown. They exchanged vows they'd written themselves, promising honesty, trust, and partnership. Alexandra's business colleagues were shocked by her choice of spouse, whispering about the carpenter who'd won the billionaire's heart. But she didn't care. She'd learned that the opinions of people who only valued her net worth were worthless. In her wedding speech, she said something that resonated with everyone present. "I thought I had to hide who I was to be loved. I thought my wealth would always be a barrier between me and real connection. But Daniel taught me that the right person doesn't love you, despite who you are, or because of what you have. They love you because of who you become when you're brave enough to be yourself." He saw through my disguise, not to Alexandra Chen the CEO, but to Alex, the woman I'd forgotten how to be, and that changed everything. Today, Alex splits her time between running her company as chairman, with a focus on ethical business practices and work-life balance, and being a present wife and mother. She and Daniel started a social enterprise together, creating job training programs in woodworking and craftsmanship for single parents. Emma thrives with two parents who adore her, and a mother figure who shows up to every school event and knows all the words to her favorite songs. Alex still has her penthouse in Seattle, but home is the house she shares with Daniel and Emma in Everwood. A beautiful craftsman they built together, where the furniture is handmade, and the photos on the walls show real moments, not staged perfection. The lesson Alex learned, and the one she shares, when speaking at events, is that true wealth isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in moments of genuine connection, in being known and loved for who you truly are, and in having the courage to be vulnerable enough to let people in. She surrendered her heart to an unsuspecting single father, but what she gained in return was infinitely more valuable than any business deal. A family, a partner, and a life that felt real. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is take off our armor and let ourselves be seen. And sometimes, when we're brave enough to do that, we discover that we don't need the armor at all. We just need people who love us for exactly who we are. So if you're hiding parts of yourself, because you're afraid they won't be accepted, remember Alex's story. The right people will love all of you. The powerful parts and the vulnerable parts, the successes and the struggles. That's what real love looks like. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and let me know in the comments what resonated with you most. Have you ever hidden parts of yourself in a relationship? How did you find the courage to be fully seen? And don't forget to subscribe, because we share inspiring stories like this one every week. Stories about real people facing real challenges and finding their way to happiness. Thank you for spending these 19 minutes with me. Until next time, remember, you are worthy of love exactly as you are.